Communication 1064.2 requests an update by the Civil Defense Administrator and the Public Works Director on the island-wide coordination of the lava flow emergency. From Councilmember Margaret Willey, dated October 17, 2014.
Do I do motion?
Ms. Willie?
Yeah. Motion to file?
Yes. Okay, second by Ms. Tronici.
Can I
Ms.
go?
Willie, go ahead.
Yes. First, I just want to say why this communication is important to me, and having a discussion here on the council level is that, number one, I agree with Senator Ruderman. This is not just a Puna issue. It's a county-wide issue and a state issue, federal issue. Second, given the Sunshine Law, I couldn't really check with others if they were going to bring something forward, and I wanted to make sure we did have a discussion here. And third, there are a lot of Puna folks that come and work in my district. So I have a particular issue. Even the person who brings the pouch to my office is looking at splitting our whole family up because of this. So, and then I just want to say that when things happened with Katrina and in New Orleans, my daughter was there at one of those disasters, and everybody's sitting in front of the TV, sort of waiting for things to happen, and then we decide what happens. And I just kept thinking, well, where are the plans? Where are the plans? And I can remember when she was leaving there, it was, well, where should everybody go? Nobody knew. We had to leave, but nobody knew where to go, and do we go this direction or do we go that direction? So and it's not necessary for it to be today, but I really believe that we need to have more information coming forward. Number one, I appreciate all of what was said by the people and their mana'o and hearing what they have said. I mean, I had questions, okay, where is it that railroad road would come out? Or, different things that they brought up should be address both, number one, information access. I think I have questions about that. Housing, I actually asked for, and maybe there is someone here, I'm not sure, on housing, where if suddenly the road's cut off, where could people go? I think Senator Ruderman's point, we want people to feel they're safe in place. They don't have to be hurrying up and getting a house in Hilo before there's one left. They should know you can stay there, and if suddenly something happens, how can we provide something on a transitional or temporary level? Looking at the school situation and kids being split up, I'd like to have that presented. What is the plan? The post office, I'd like to see somebody come here and talk to us about that. The use of private facilities. I know I spoke to one of the owners of Lex Brody's, which has a place of business both in Waimea and Pahoa, and they said, we're willing to give up our building for a community effort. And maybe it would be for the seniors, but they've roofed all their tires out. They have a large facility. They would make that available. How can we utilize that? And also just even tourism. I mean, we need money. Maybe can we do something where, let's get some money in where they could go look at the lava. I'm not opposed to that, and trying to figure, is that possible without it being a safety issue? The emergency powers, I would like to understand better about that, and also about the federal funds. So I just wanted to get these thoughts out there and think about, so we're thinking about, if this happens, that's Plan 11, what do we do? And giving people a sense of, yes, things are uncertain. We don't want to make decisions right now that may not be necessary, but what is being done? And lastly, I want to say since I was bringing up this, I wanted to go down again I went to the last Pahoa meeting in Pahoa, and I just inched along in traffic. I went like an hour early, thinking I didn't need an extra hour early. I'd just get down and go around, maybe go to the health food store, do this, that, and the other. And here we are inching along. I mean, and what about an alternate route? Then I left at 8 o'clock at night to drive home. It's still a parking lot there. I don't know. I mean, I just see so many issues that, yes, Puna, I want people to not be, how can we relieve some of the fear, and how can we look at this, and how can I and my district look at it, whether suddenly we have to open our hospital and we have 300 tent sites. I just want, how can we move a little bit forward, and not that we have to do things, but think about these issues. The one thing I have in focus with my constituents and in my newsletter is sort of some of the animal issues, and trying to connect like the Help Puna and the Good Shepherd effort, which works like Craigslist, so people can go to that and see if there are ways that they can help, where somebody says, I've got, 4 puppies and I really can't deal with it. Is there, how can I deal with something, or my sheep or donkeys? So that's
Okay.
my points,
all right.
and
Thank you.
and thank you very much.
Thank you. We have the Director of Civil Defense in Pahoa, Daryl Oliveira. I'd like him to speak
Okay,
next.
let me just say, I had understood that he wasn't available, or I
That's-
would have called him up.
Thank you. I did get that information both before and after, that we would not have anyone available, but he has made himself available. Mr. Oliveira, please introduce yourself on the microphone and provide any information that you can. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Go for it.
Yeah, good morning. Again, apologize. We are still in operations mode here, so I'm in Pahoa, but fortunately available to step into the room and try to provide some information. Right now, we're in a very quiet period with the current eruption and flow activity. It's been relatively quiet down on the flow front. We haven't seen any advancement since about 6 days now down on the flow front, so it's really quiet. We do still have some breakouts upslope, just in the area above the private residential properties. This is in the area of the cemetery off of Apaa Street. So we had a breakout there yesterday that we walked around. It was extending maybe 15, 20 feet off of the flow margin into a forested area, running perpendicular to the flow, so more in a north direction rather than an east down towards the community. This morning, it was, again, very quiet up there, just burning on the edges, no real advancement since yesterday. So just some burning activity along the fringes, vegetation only, no hazardous materials. And then further upslope near the transfer station, we still have a small breakout there that is burning vegetation, producing some smoke, nothing that's causing any problem in the community currently. And then we have 2 other breakouts that we've been reporting in our messaging to the community. That's about a half a mile from Apaa Street, as well as about a mile and a half from Apaa Street. Both of those breakouts were moving in a north-northeast direction, but again, not much forward advancement since yesterday. So relatively quiet, but the one thing that we are maintaining vigilance with is that the scientists at Hawaiian Volcanoes Observatory have said that we still have lava making its way down to the flow front. We are seeing inflation on the lava pad. This morning, as part of the media brief that we just walked out of, HVO had reported that in some cases they've seen at least 2 meters worth of inflation on the lava pad. So we do have activity and evidence to suggest that there is still lava making its way all the way down to the flow front. So at this point, we're not in any way reducing or downgrading the threat level. We're maintaining vigilance, and we are making, again, contact with the residents in the area that we do have the road closure, and letting them know that although things are quiet, we're going to continue to monitor it for a while until such time that, the technical experts at HVO can give us a much higher degree of confidence and assurance that the threat for the communities has been alleviated. But that also means that we're watching the 2 other breakouts upslope as to whether or not they may become the new flow and new advancing flow as it receives material from the source. HBO is also good with sharing that we're currently seeing about 25% of the peak magma or lava flow that we saw earlier in this event. So it's at a reduced rate, but again, no indication that it's going to stop.
Thank you. Council members, do any of you have questions? Mr. Ilagan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to make sure the right information is out. Administrator Oliveira, someone, actually testifiers, mentioned about the closure of Highway 130. Could you please let the council and the public know your plans, or what could you please let us know what's going on with the closure of Highway 130 or the plans for the closure? Thank you.
Sure, we're current and we're aware of some of the maybe misinformation that's been put out there. I took a walk up question from one of the staff at the Haas School yesterday afternoon. She was told that we were closing Highway 130 today. That is not correct. There are no plans currently as far as a date or time when to close Highway 130. Given that the flow has stalled at this point, there is no need to be moving forward with the closure of Highway 130. There's no threat. The best answer I could give you as far as when we would likely close 130, it would be balanced between the safety as well as the hazards that may be posed by any advancing flow towards that highway. We know that as the flow moves through the vegetation, it's going to produce smoke. If that becomes one of the hazards on the highway that may precede the flow actually making direct contact, that would be something considered with the closure of the highway. Another one is the visibility of the flow and glow, as that may translate into traffic hazards for people driving as well as parking and pulling over. So we're working very closely with the police department, state highways, Department of Public Works, to discuss what might be some of the conditions other than the flow having a direct impact that would then move the pulling of the trigger on closing the highway. But we would be definitely letting the community know well in advance of any intent to close the highway. We would also be letting the community well in advance of any intent to also open up Railroad Avenue as the alternate road to provide for access. You know, our goal is to make sure that people are familiar with Railroad Avenue well before there's any impact to Highway 130 and before any closure, so they can familiarize themselves with it, understand what might be some of the limitations and capabilities of the road, understand how that may adjust their time and commute and schedules. So all of that would be done well in advance of any impact to try to minimize the inconvenience on the community, but always putting the community's safety first and foremost.
Thank you. There's one more question, and I'm so glad you cleared that up. The other question is regarding public assistance. Could you please explain what that means to the county that the president signed the declaration for public assistance? Thank you.
Sure. The public assistance program, which we received the declaration from the president, allows for the opportunity for possible recovery of funds that have been expended by government as well as some of the nonprofits to date, with some we need to plan for, and which we are planning for, is if and when we embark on any public viewing, it's the other pieces to that logistical, providing for restrooms, providing for ADA accessibility, providing parking, busing people in. So there's a lot of pieces to this than just saying, let's open it up for public viewing, because we're going to try to manage it in a way that ensures the safety of everyone. And I guess your question, why would anyone want to see it? I appreciate the question, but if you've ever had an opportunity to witness the eruption, one is it's this in this particular case, it's a very historical event given what it's potentially posing with and changing the community. But it is a very spectacular natural phenomenon that may only be experienced here in the state of Hawaii versus other places, and could be done safely if managed properly. So again, we are committed when the time is right.
Thank you, Administrator Oliveira. You've answered all the questions that I see in Margaret's communication. I see no other. Ms. Willie does have a few comments or statements or questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for being here, and let me just say I didn't call you because I had been given a note that you weren't able to be here. So I echo all of the appreciation. And I just wonder how much is being put on your shoulders. I know I had urged Director Arnett to be here. I don't see that he is here. In terms of whether it's what's happening on temporary housing, what's happening on mass transit, and just trying to, spread some of all of this weight and where it's not all on you. I know I had constituents or people, not constituents, my district, but also that are Puna, and in other words, where they're trying to bring a bicycle or more packages, and every time like a senior pays $1, but they bring a package or two packages, they have to pay more dollars. So just sort of the little things that happen along the way, and how we plan ahead, whether it's the post office or the housing, and how you see that sort of not just immediate today, tomorrow, but sort of longer term planning, and how I think everybody's doing a great job right now, but just how we can be even more proactive than we are.
Sure. Well, I guess with your, opening comments as far as what's being, placed on my shoulders, what's probably not aware to the community, because, I seem to get the media attention and the opportunity to address the community. It's a huge team effort. What we've set up is a complete incident management structure that consists of different operational branches within our operational unit. When I say branches, it's everything from, if you can picture, we have a road or access branch, we have a, let's say, transportation branch, we have a medical healthcare branch. So we've compartmentalized a lot of the responsibilities and have identified lead agencies. If I go back to access with the roads, I lean heavily on Mr. Warren Lee. He's been a tremendous support, and the lead, he and Brandon from DPW, running the roads project. So the work has been effectively distributed, the responsibilities effectively distributed, so it's being managed as a team with the subject matter experts in their particular mission or operational branch. So if you have specific questions regarding housing, we do have a team that's working on the questions for housing in partnership also with the nonprofits and NGOs that are out there offering alternatives. Obviously, we would welcome any more input from the community, people who may have resources that they could provide. But I think we have a really good system set up with the work being effectively distributed and managed, because in addition to this particular hazard, which is a priority, there is still the operational needs of the entire island and county that are still being done on a day-to-day basis. So through that effective distribution of the workload, we are able to sustain not just the operations here, but to keep the county supporting the entire island.
Okay. Well, I thank you for that, and I think that having this discussion is also helpful with the news and getting out some of the correct information that has been going around, and that we appreciate the presence of our news media here to correct some of the things the misinformation that's going out. I know I have friends that live there and are moving to the mainland for at least 3 months just because they're afraid and don't know what's happening. So I think the more we can let people know that you can stay in place and you can be there, and where if suddenly something happens, they with their pet dog, or whether they have an animal or not, could go and not feel pressured to go pay some, with hardly any housing left in Hilo or elsewhere. So I think the more we can get this information out, and that you have this network and coordination, that would be great. And I don't know whether you were here when I mentioned about Lex Brody's, but they do have a large facility there, and the owners have indicated to me that they're willing to make that available to you or nonprofits or whoever to give to your community. So thank you for all of your words and actions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Daryl, we can't tell you enough times that you and your team have done a phenomenal job handling 2 hurricanes and a lava flow, all pretty much simultaneously. We really appreciate it. I can tell you haven't slept in days, but so I hope you go get some sleep, and maybe we better get one of those special buildings and put a whole bunch of bunk beds in there for you guys to get some sleep. Anyway, you've done a great job as usual. Thank you so much, and we'll release you to go back to work some more. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Council members, all in favor of approving filing communication 1064.2, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. Before I adjourn this meeting, we are supposed to have our next meeting starting at 1 o'clock. I think that might be a little too soon. And you guys, you want to move it off to a little later?
1:30.
Well, 1:30 is the Finance Committee. Val's not here. Who's the vice chair for that? Mr. Iligon, okay.
It's okay with me.
Okay, so what do you want to do about planning? You want to put it at the end of the day and come back at 1:30?
Mr. Kern's committee.
Oh, where is Mr. Kern?
Who's the vice chair of that? Margaret.
Margaret,
I'm fine.
okay. So do you want to take Planning Committee at 1:30 and then move everything, just keep moving it back? Okay, so 1:30 we'll be back. This meeting is now adjourned. No, that was just informational. Have we adjourned? Okay, all in favor, first a motion. Give me a motion. Thank you. Then Iligon is second. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Thank you.